There you go. Right on. Welcome to the Dundragon Harem of Wild Boar. These girls are here for one specific purpose, and they're doing an excellent job. They're basically forest engineers. We want to tackle the bracken that's growing underneath these trees. Now we're in a forest, and one job of the fence is to keep the boar out from escaping. It's also to prevent the deer coming in. So what these girls are doing is digging up the soil. They're also eating the bracken. The bracken forms a very, very dense understory. It's quite late, it's quite a cold May, there isn't much bracken coming through just now. But if you look behind you, you see all the dead bracken that's underneath the trees. That forms a dense understory which, when it dies back in the winter, collapses down on any regenerating trees and smothers them. So you've got the pressure on the trees from the deer and from the bracken. So we've excluded the deer. We've got these guys in, they're tearing up the soil. They're eating the bracken, the rhizomes, which are the underground roots, the fronds. They make nests from the fronds, and basically they also disturb the ground and create this lovely seed bed. So each one of these trees around about here will produce literally millions of birch seed, and this seed lands on this lovely seed bed, will germinate into a new tree, and then a pig comes along and grubs it up. So we have to move the pigs on. It's an issue of timing. And this is an experiment. We're continuing an experiment that started in West Aguscan over the other side of the glen, started by Liz Balharry, to look at the impact of wild boar on bracken.
Yeah. I know. Oh, because you know
So this is a portable trap, and it has a powerful ultraviolet light that it gives off. So I run it in all sorts of remote places off the little portable Honda generator, which will run quite happily all night at this season of the year anyway. So the moths, basically being attracted to the light, just come in on a sort of ever decreasing spiral usually, and at some stage they hit one of these little veins next to the bulb and sink down into the middle of the trap. But as I say, if you're unlucky, the idea is they go inside the trap and they settle down under the influence of the bright.
And then there was another moth there.
Hebrew character. You see that funny sort of almost comma-shaped dark mark on the wing, which is supposed to be a letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
Mighty tree, holding up the sky, yeah. Mighty tree, holding down the ground, yeah. Mighty tree, holding up the sky, yeah. Mighty tree, holding down the ground. Come on, hey, na, hey, 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 na, hey, na, hey, 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 na,
in a modern form. Yeah, lots of different tinder and what have you, but who's done this before? Has anyone? So this is going to sparkle off. It's just a way to get, and it does fall apart. Oh, there we go. So see that catch a light, that whole thing will probably catch a light. These small bits so that they can take the flame. And this up a lot, because that little spark, like, onto anything, like it doesn't, it needs to be like, this is steel, right? Yeah, and this one's got lots of other materials in it, metals that would work, like the flint and the steel that would work, like, so it's magnesium.
It's got magnesium.
The main right. Go. So we can just try it and see what happens.
Oh, God.
So That's the thistle catching on to the birch bark, which is this really resinous material, so that will burn for quite a while, just like that.
I'm very pleased that Gordon, our special guest, is going to cut the cake for us as well. And then we'll be distributing cake and champagne to everybody who wants to partake. The cake, I should say, is a very special cake, baked especially for the occasion, with a tree on top, and it's multi-layered. I'm vegan, so the top section is vegan on the cake, and then there's 2 other sections underneath. So
the bottom layer is venison, by the way, so just obviously putting the top layer of venison, it would have the drip effect, but just to say, it's been a spectacular day, and it's such a wonderful event and an amazing achievement by Alan and all the people that have helped him over the year. I'm really glad that I could have made it up, so here goes. It's just like getting married all over again. I think maybe just I'm not sure how to do it. Shall I cut the What's the best way to do it? Maybe I should give Alan the first slice of the vegan slice. I've hit the roots.
Who wants this piece of cake? Which child's going to get it?
No professional air to it.
it's great to see so many people here. It's really wonderful. Thank you all for coming today. This is the biggest assembly of people we've had at Dundragon, so thank you so much, all of you, for coming on this very special day. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alan Watson Featherstone. I'm the founder and executive director of Trees for Life, and it was a bit over 25 years ago I stood up in a conference about the environment and made a commitment to launch a project to restore the Caledonian forest. And at the time I had no idea how I would go about doing that. I had no source of funds, no access to land, but I had a passion, and because I followed that passion and started speaking it, I attracted support, and the project has grown and developed over the years, and I never for a moment 25 years ago imagined that one day we'd reach 1 million trees planted. It never crossed my mind. So it's a wonderful delight and a surprise to be here today to reach this milestone, and I'm very pleased that so many people have come to help us celebrate that. And I'm very pleased in particular we have a special guest, Gordon Buchanan, who has come to plant the millionth tree. Dundragon here, for those of you who haven't been before, is 10,000 acres of land, which we were able to buy in 2008, thanks to the generous support of a number of key people, some of whom I'm delighted to say are here today. And our aim is to bring back forest and other natural habitats to much of the estate. It's a long-term project. So I think without any further ado, I'd like to invite Gordon to come and plant an oak tree.
I just realised that this tree is going to have a much greater life expectancy than I do, really. You plant it right. That's true, actually. Pressure's on. I have been aware of Alan's work from the very start. I grew up on the west coast on the Isle of Mull, a place that has a lot of native woodlands, and I remember somebody recommending that I watch this film. It was about the Caledonian forest, and I thought, that sounds amazing. I started realising it, I started watching it, and then a couple of minutes in I realised this is Scotland, and it had never occurred to me that we had such a magnificent natural asset. But at that time, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I did realise, I saw what was happening to the woodlands on Mull, and realised that the threat that posed to the woodlands on Mull affected all the forests that still stood in Scotland. So back then at the very start of my career, it was hugely encouraging to find out that there was somebody in a different part of Scotland that cared enough not just to protect the forests that were there, but to actually rebuild and restore the Caledonian forest. And Alan had asked me to just talk about forests and what they mean to me, and I said, well, what can I say about forests? And I realised that I've actually spent a significant amount of my life living in forests. We spent 2 years in an oak woodland in a caravan on Mull, so that was my playground. When I started working, I went off and lived in West Africa for a year and a half and in the rainforest, and went to Venezuela, the Amazonian part, and lived in the forest there, and then 2.5 years in Brazil. And I thought, well, actually I've got quite a lot to say about forests because it's been my home for such a long time. Forests are the most incredible environments on the earth, not just the role that they play for so many different species, but I think forests, what they give to us, there isn't any habitat that I've ever visited that have the same magical quality as woodlands. And I can honestly put my hand on my heart and say that the Caledonian forest is the most incredible, most magical forest that I've ever spent any time in. And I've been fortunate enough to spend time in all sorts of different forests in every corner of the earth, and the Caledonian forest has got a unique majesty and mystery to it. And I think back to probably the highlight of my career. I was working up in Abernethy about 13 years ago, and it was early spring, so the place was covered in snow, and I thought there's no better time to go out into the forest when it's covered in snow. And I was walking, and I think being in the trees, something kind of happens. It's almost like a dreamlike state. And then it started snowing, these big, huge snowdrops, and then suddenly it was like transcending. It just was absolutely magical. And as I was standing, kind of surveying this scene, not knowing which direction to look, I looked off in the distance and saw a herd of deer running towards me, stags and hinds, and I just kind of settled down behind a juniper, and these deer ran straight towards me and straight past me, and as he did so through this sort of falling snow, they were kicking up this snow, and that remains in my kind of career of 25 years the most magical experience that I've ever had anywhere and in any forest. And it's just, I'm immensely proud to say that was in our country, in Scotland. I think the work that Alan and his team have done over the years is incredible. Your trees have this sort of ability to make the world bigger. I remember I was in Borneo. We walked past this tree, 150-foot rainforest tree, every single day. And one day I stopped, I think I was taking a pee, and I had a stick, and I hit the trunk of this tree, and there was dong, this huge sort of echoing sound, and I realised that this tree was completely hollow, and I just wanted to sort of have a look inside. And we looked up, about 100 feet up, there's a huge aperture in the tree, and I thought, right, if we can get some ropes up there, we can maybe have a look inside. So we got some ropes up, and you go into the canopy and you leave the world of the forest floor, and there's a huge, another world up there with a whole set of different species. And then I popped my head inside this tree, and it was entirely hollow. It had been eaten out over 100 years by millions of termites. So in I went, and then went down, descended the tree on the inside, and then there was a different world. And then I got to the bottom, and inside this tree there was lots of different species. There was snakes, there were bats, there was lots of insects, geckos and lizards. And then I get to the bottom, and just standing, I thought it was stranger than being on the moon. Not that I've been on the moon. And then there was a little aperture of kind of rotten wood, and I crawled out back into the planet again. And I think, Alan's work here, he's not only making the world a better place, by planting these trees, he's making the world a bigger place. And I think that's what we all need. We need to live in a bigger world. And I just want to say I'm incredibly honoured and feel very privileged to plant this tree. So thank you. So I shouldn't let my wife see me doing this, because there's going to be no end of chores at home.
We had hoped the oak would be in full leaf at this time, but because of the strange spring we've been having, It's still just got buds on it.
Upside down, Gordon. Upside down.
Pressure's on. Oh.
There we go. Well done.
How firm does it need to be?
That's fine, just like that, yeah. That's great.
Great. I just think this tree, for people that live and travel through Scotland for the next 100 years, the fact that they can come here and appreciate this tree and appreciate the wildlife that will make a home here. I think it's incredible that we're doing something that's going to last much longer than the time that we have here. So thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, my inspiration for supporting Trees for Life is really, I suppose, lifelong, in the sense that as a child I always remember trees as places to play. I was always happy in forests and woods. And in my lifetime, of course, I've seen them disappear. Lifetime's getting a bit too long now, actually. I wish I hadn't been able to say that, but it is true. So charities like Trees for Life, which are doing really ground roots work in terms of replanting, they inspire me simply having the dream of putting back what we've taken away and leaving for next generation something that we've been able to enjoy that possibly we've destroyed a bit of in our own lifetimes. And I suppose actually the other reason is because they're just people doing it. You can show by that it's just ordinary people who can be active and work together and do things, just make things happen, rather than always waiting for Big Brother, government or whoever to do it for them. And if you can put your back behind that and a few pennies, it's all worth it.
What inspires me about the Caledonian Forest is having spent the last 20 years working in forests all around the globe. Here in Scotland we have one of the most incredible forests on the planet. The reason that I support Trees for Life is that through my work I see so much destruction of forests, and very few people caring for what exists and very few people willing to restore the forests that are there. Trees for Life do that. They are rebuilding, restoring this once great forest.
The reason why our company supports Trees for Life is because we feel there's a natural synergy with our business. We're a greeting card and stationery publisher, and supporting an organisation that is giving back the natural product that we're using in our business just feels very comfortable.
Well, Trees for Life in particular is a highly ethical organisation. We love the fact that it's restoring the Caledonian forest for not just for the generation now, but for the generations to come.
I support the work being done by Trees for Life in the Caledonian Forest because it is such a fine example of how we can take a habitat that we've done so much damage to and restore it and bring it back to a state where it's sustainable and will serve as not only an ecological example and an ecological space that we all need, and our generations following us, our children and our children's children will absolutely need in order to have a real life on this planet. Trees for Life and their long-term project at Dundragon is something that I think will stand out as an amazing educational tool in order to inspire generations and other organizations to do the same thing in a repeatable fashion. Trees for Life is almost breaking ground and setting an example of how to do it right. And for that reason, I very much support the work that Trees for Life is doing.
Given the situation in the world today, there is more urgency. The state of the environment is still on a downhill slope in most places, so we feel it's important to expand and accelerate our work. So we're aiming for 1 million more trees in the next 5 years. And we'd like to start that today with a few other trees here individually planted. So there's a few people I'd like to invite to come one at a time and plant a tree. So the first one is Roy Dennis, who's a patron, one of the patrons of the charity. Roy, where are you? Here. Okay. So many of you, I'm sure, will know Roy. Worked for the RSPB for many years. Been involved with some of the reintroductions of birds into Scotland, the champion of beavers amongst other things. Formerly a board member of Trees for Life, and for the past 3 or 4 years he's been a patron. And he's been to Dundragon and planted a tree before, but he was very pleased to have the opportunity to come and plant another one.
And what are you going to give me?
I think you can take your pick. The only one you...
Sponsored by Swarovski.
Yeah.
This is a gein, isn't it?
I haven't looked at it closely, but it does look like it from a distance, yes.
Okay.
Maybe just pack it down with your foot a little bit round back. Yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you. Last night I gave a few comments, but just listening to Gordon talking about Borneo. My daughter has worked in Borneo on the rainforest for 20 years or more now. And I think the important thing for us to recognise is that these people are always being told in Borneo and Brazil, you mustn't cut down your rainforest because you're going to affect the climate in our countries. The important thing that they will start saying more and more is, well, what the hell are you doing in your own countries? And so when you look at Scotland, we should have far larger areas of woodland. And so the work that is done here is very, very important. But what you should all do is take what Alan's done, and you are doing with him, and always talk about it. Whenever you get a chance to try to influence someone, just say, you know, we've got less than 1% of our original forest. And that's a disgrace. It should be 30% or more. So this is an important time to start on your next million trees and your next million, and encourage other people to do millions as well. And I'm proud to do that. I love fruit trees as well. I think we should have far more fruit trees in the countryside. And there's a group rather like yours in northern Spain, and they've planted 1 million trees, but they're all fruit trees. And they planted them all the way up the mountain so that the bears in the future will have fruit trees as they ripen, and they go higher and higher up into the peacots. And I just like that lovely idea of planting trees for bears. And who knows, maybe one day a bear will come and eat something off that tree. Now that would be really good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Roy. Great. This is a representative of the Martindale Foundation, and they were the main benefactor for the purchase of Dundragon in 2008, and very generously are continuing to support the work that goes on here on an annual basis. Bruce has also been here and planted trees before, but we'd like to get you back every opportunity we can. He lives in the States, so it's not often he comes over here, but when he comes we like to get him to plant a tree as well. So I'd like to ask you can plant whichever one you like.
I'm looking for serial number 1000002. Now. I'll plant this one.
Okay, great.
Mainly because it's going to take a small hole.
Such good soil.
Great soil.
The
previous owner used to feed deer here.
Yeah.
So it's enriched with lots of deer droppings.
Very good.
Sorry, I should have waited till you finished.
Watch out, that's the equivalent of poison ivy there as well, Bruce.
The nettles?
Yeah.
I like nettles.
They'll all go like that one.
Great, thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I'll be very brief since my dialect is probably unintelligible. I just wanted to say thank you to Alan and say that my wife, who's namesake for our foundation and founder, found Alan and the people that Alan brought around him and realized this was a sustainable undertaking. This wasn't something that was going to be ephemeral and last for only a decade or two or three. This is probably going to make it, and hopefully we'll be generating more trees in 100 years. So she said that's where I want my legacy to go, and this is where it's going. And I want to thank also everybody who's here. You know, it's not me or Alan or any individual people planting one tree. It's the community of all of us being involved, and through that getting a lot of trees planted. So thank you very much, Alan.
No, my pleasure. Thank you very much. Planting another tree here today. Here. So,
yes.
Alan is a fairly recent supporter of Trees for Life. We met for the first time last year, and he's been very generous in supporting some of our tree planting work in the past 6 months or so. And he's also been very generous in providing some funding for this event too. So I just want to really acknowledge you for that.
You're welcome.
And
everybody likes a good party.
Yes. And Alan's particularly funding the planting of Scots pines on the estate. So there is a pine somewhere, I'm not sure where it is. There it is there. So if you would like to plant that one.
Where would you suggest?
I think there's a hole maybe here. This one perhaps. To go in. Right. Is that a mole there? Or is it? It
No,
that's a prepared hole.
Yeah, that one's
It might be.
There we are.
Great.
To give you a big compliment and thank you for your vision, your hard work, your perseverance. I want to thank everyone who's worked with you over the years, everyone who is here, and wish you success in reaching that goal as you envision it. Thank you.
Okay. Who are here for the first time, but they made a very significant contribution to the purchase of the estate back in 2008, and I'm delighted to meet you for the first time, and it's great that you're here, and I'm very pleased that you've accepted the offer to plant a tree as well.
Very welcome.
So, thank you.
This is where you learn who's the operations manager, who's the actual project.
Yes.
Because I will be the one with the spade.
Yes.
What are we planting for you?
So you can take your pick. There's a little tree. Is that an oak there? There's an oak there, or there's a juniper?
An oak sounds very good for an English one.
Okay.
Having said that, it's so small, I'm not sure I'm going to need a spade. Okay. I think this is going to be about the closest I ever come to celebrity actually in the Queen. Normally I'm on a hillside and it's much tougher than this, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Much tougher.
Can you turn around? Can you go around the other side, please?
Can you work possibly from the other side? So that
Face your audience.
Oh, you see, I'm sorry, I'm just such a practical person. I don't think about
We'll show your best side.
easier to do. Good root system.
Yeah.
Right, get it a bit level. We'll have a bit back in here. I'm sorry, I'm not a spade person at home, so it'll be very much so. You can see how close I am to a dog. Right. That needs a bit more earth around it, actually.
Maybe make the door put off.
Do for the moment.
Yeah, we'll sort it down.
Right. Topsoil back on the top. Label not in. Done. I feel like being trained here.
Thank you very much. Would you like to say a few words at all?
I think actually the only thing that I would like to say is that we feel that we represent just the individuals in any project, very much sort of background people compared with the more important people possibly. But everybody does what they can. So really, most importantly, I would like to put the tree. And I would like to bless this tree for all the enjoyment it will bring and the habitat it will provide.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
We have one more.
Which tree would you like to
That's just down there.
Oh,
There's two there, so I think only one goes in there. The other one will go in another place.
You should have a dig too.
Thank you.
Isn't it? Good, have a bit.
Good root system on that tree.
Try it and see. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Is that deep enough? Yeah, I think that's deep enough. Okay. Okay. Hope somebody will rescue this if we've done it wrong.
That looks pretty good to me.
Good. Well done.
Okay, thank you very much. Would you like to say anything? Just on behalf of the company?
Just to say what a privilege it is to be here, how much fun we've had today. Thank you very much for your inspiration. We saw you talk a few weeks ago in London and it was just very illuminating, and we're just very grateful for the opportunity to be part of this great venture. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for being here, for all your support. The SECC is the Scottish Exhibition and Conference Centre in Glasgow, and they've been supporting us for a number of years.
I think it's 6 years now, isn't it?
6 years, is it?
Right. Keep filling back in. I'm a hands-on gardener as well. Where there's muck, my hands are there. There we are. Done.
Great, well done. Would you like to say a few words?
Just to say thank you very much for inviting the SECC along and all our clients who helped to donate the money for planting all the trees, of which there's quite a number now.
Yes.
We're very privileged, so thank you very much.
Okay, well that's great. Thank you for all your support.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So the next tree is a very special one because we felt it was very important. In planting trees, we're really planting for the future. And these trees that have been planted now, I will not be around when they reach maturity. It's the future generations that will benefit from this work, and that's always been the perspective of the project. Trees for Life has a vision for 250 years. So the next tree is the children's tree, and we'd like to invite Iona, who's the daughter of Jill and Neil. Jill's one of our staff members over here, to come and plant the tree. And if there's a couple of other children who would like to help, that would be great as well. By yourself. But some children help. So if there's a couple of other children can come and help. Maybe you just need to take it aside for the moment while you dig the hole.
I want to dig.
That's probably enough.
Take the spade out of your way. Right, back in the early days, I was involved in all the tree planting. Nowadays, I very rarely get to plant trees. I spend too much time in the office, so I like to take advantage of special occasions like this to get my hands dirty. So I really want to dedicate this tree to everybody who's contributed to Trees for Life in the past, and to all those who are contributing now, and to all those who will be part of the project as it moves forward into its next stage. And that includes all of you, so thank you very much again.